All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Matt's Mindset Monday. And I'm super excited for today's episode because I have one of my favorite people of all time on, the one and only Denise Jarboe, real estate entrepreneurial. I was going to say slash mogul slash does it all, because not only does she have one of the most amazing real estate businesses around, she's also a mom of five. And I actually had a request from a friend of mine, a local realtor, who, when we were talking about just different subjects for the show, they actually asked, if I had anybody I could interview that is dealing with balancing the work life and parent life. And I know for a lot of us, that can be really, really challenging, especially when you're in an entrepreneurial or sales type role where you might not have that typical 8 to 5 type job. I mean, a lot of times, as Denise will tell you, and I'm sure she'll get into it in a little bit, is, we're showing homes at night or, early Saturday mornings, and, you're juggling, between ball fields and tennis courts and showing homes, especially for Denise, in 2 different states even. So it can be a lot. But I think we have somebody who's absolutely amazing at it and has it down to a science and can provide some real insight on how do you accomplish it all. So let's go ahead and dive in. And Denise, I'll let you kind of just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your family.
Okay. Well, thanks, Matt. I'm honored to be here. And you went a little overboard on that description. I'm definitely not a mogul, but
We're getting
and I don't have
there. You gotta like believe it to achieve it, right?
True. I don't have it down to a science, but believe me, I learn every day and get better every day. So there's just a lot that has changed about my life in getting into real estate. But I'll back up and just tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Owensboro and graduated college from Brescia University and met my husband while I was in college. And we ended up marrying in Owensboro, moved to Spencer County, Indiana after we had one child. And that's where we live now, 4 daughters later. So we've got 5 daughters total, ranging from 18 years old, getting ready to graduate high school, to a 2-year-old. And they definitely help us with the balance. I will say, like they do a lot for kids. And I know, like, parents of large families probably understand that. I grew up with 3 total kids in the house, and I was the youngest. So they helped me out, but I don't think nearly what my girls do for their 2-year-old sister. So that helps out a lot. But my husband works nights, and we kind of just make things work as far as our schedules go. We probably have a little bit of a different schedule than a lot of families. We don't necessarily sit down and eat dinner together at night because we've got a ball game here. And well, I think a lot of families can relate to that. But the important thing is, like, I'll swing by and get the little kids and take them to the game with me. They may not want to go, but we all want to spend that time together too. But that's a little bit of my background.
You've accomplished a whole lot in real estate. We're going to get into that here in a minute. What did you do before real estate?
Okay, so I kind of got into a little gray area in college where I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I did. I thought I wanted to get into communications. And then I ended up getting pregnant in college and just finishing to finish. Like, I went to my advisor and I said, what do I need to do to get these last few credits to get done? And he was like, hey, it looks like you could do a degree in math. And I actually really liked math, but I didn't know what that was going to do for me. I knew I didn't want to teach, but he said, later down the road, you could probably add a certificate of teaching and do that too, or go to get whatever that is. I know it's teachers have a lot of schooling.
Wait, you have a degree in math?
Yeah, that's my
bachelor's. How did I not know that?
Yeah, my bachelor's in math. So after I graduated, I probably had a good, I just, went to the paper and looked what jobs were listed there. That's how old I am. And submitted my resume to some local businesses. And there was one that just stood out to me. It sounded like right up my alley. It was like problem solving and statistics and running trials. And it was at UniFirst here in Owensboro. And So I applied, and remember it took forever. And I went on I went on two interviews in the same day. One was at US Bank and one was at UniFirst, and they both went really well. And right after I got out of the UniFirst one, which went way better and just felt more like aligned to me and more challenging, I got a call from US Bank and they were offering me the job. And I said, I was like, I really appreciate it. And I'm so excited you called, but I just had a really good interview with something that would be using my degree and I want to wait. So they said, okay, well, we can't hold the job for you. So I passed that down, waited. And I think it was probably 2 months before I heard from UniFirst and they called and wanted to hire me. And it was salary. And of course, whatever number they threw out, it sounded amazing to me because all I'd ever done before was, I think I waited tables or worked at like Fisher Park as a scoreboard girl. So I was excited for my first big girl job, and I did that, and I really enjoyed a lot of the people that I met there and still talk to today. And I was there for over 10 years, and I got my 3% increase every year, average for the most part. I think my supervisor tried to challenge me. He saw a lot of potential in me, and to this day, I think he's really proud of what I've done now. But I just couldn't get ignited in that job.
How many, what's a great case in case anybody's listening, like UniFirst finds some talent. I mean, I know so many people that started there and that was a key piece to what they ended up being, even so I'm sure, like everything you learn as you go, but that's just a kind of mental note. As you were talking, I was like, man, I need to study like what UniFirst is doing. They're bringing in some people, so
right.
So let's talk. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say Gabs came from there, and Dave Roberts is the manager there. And he was actually my supervisor at the time. So random topic, and you probably know him, right, Matt?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Dave. So he actually got hired on as he was like, I think he was my supervisor all along, but they just didn't tell me he was going to be my supervisor. And they're like, hey, we hired this person. And I taught him how to do my job. And then he never had to do it again because, they didn't hire him for that. But he was my backup there for a minute. And it was funny. Like, he was like, how do you do this every day? I hate this stuff.
He didn't have a degree in math.
Right.
But let's talk a little bit about real estate.
Okay.
You've been on quite an amazing journey. So tell our audience a little bit about, what all you've accomplished in the last few years.
Well, I meant to print off my production over the last few years so I could kind of just really tell you the numbers. But if I could, just by memory, I think maybe my first half a year I sold like 20-ish homes. And I thought that was great. Of course, when you start off and then you get like a little bit of momentum going, you feel amazing because that's what everybody wants to do. That's what keeps us getting paid, is that momentum. And what's in motion stays in motion. So you kind of have to do that. You definitely have to do that in sales. But the first quarter was really hard for me right after the new year because that's kind of the slower time. It's cold. It's right after the holidays. And I remember like not getting a paycheck. And of course, that really puts you into high gear to get yourself not feeling that way again. So 2019 was my first full year in real estate. And I think I sold about like 50-ish. So even despite having a really rough first quarter, I picked that up the next year, 2020, 66, I want to say. And then 2021, I hit 100 before December. And then I ended up closing.
Say that one more time. Louder for the people in the back.
What?
100 units before December.
I hit 100 units before December. So, and heard like that's huge. Yes, that's huge. But like what was crazy to me was the December closing 16 or 17 homes. Like, who does that? That was just, I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it was crazy 2020, 21, but I will say, yes, that's amazing. I'll give myself that credit, but a lot of things go into that, being able to do that. It wasn't all me. I am on an amazing team with so many people in the background that take care of us and feed us, and to like, just like feed my mind. That's a lot of what is taking care of me is
And
just like,
let me provide some perspective to everybody before you touch on that. The average agent does around 8 deals a year. So just something to think about is, and do over 100 in 1 year. A lot of that has to be your mindset, your environment, your activities, right? The habits that you're doing. And I think that's something that there's a lot of times when I'm talking to agents, there's just like misconception on, well, what I hear all the time is, why would I join a team? I'm going to give up half my commission. And what we always talk about is, yeah, well, you can have all your commission at 8 deals, or you can have half your commission at 100 deals. Do the math.
mm-hmm.
Right. So we'll talk about that just really quickly before we dive in, the team versus solo dynamic. And why'd you go the team route?
Well, team route was really the only option that I even looked at beforehand, because I didn't know anything about real estate. And they were very supportive. Of course, you can do this. We'll take, not we're going to pay you, or we're going to make sure you make this such and such. It's, we're going to help you set goals, and we're going to hold you accountable to those. That's more of the language that it was. And we'll teach you everything you need to know, and then some. I didn't even know how much there was to know, and I still don't. There's so much.
Every deal's an ordeal.
Yeah. We always use that term, folks, or drinking from a fire hose or a fire hydrant. And that's, exactly like it is every day. But that's the type, like, my brain moves that fast, and I like to stay busy. And I perform well under pressure, I guess you'd say. So being with the team, we all have a rainmaker, and Kelly Harris is our rainmaker. And that just means, they're the ones that are, where are the leads coming from? Am I providing enough for my people? And we can also, obviously, if my family or friend just calls me up, that's my, I own that lead because they reach out to me. But I had those, and a lot of my deals last year were that, and over my career. But then I also get a lot of, someone just reaches out to Kelly that's heard of her from Lexington or North Carolina or Florida. And they say, hey, I need to buy or sell a house. And of course, Indiana right now, I get all of them because I'm licensed in Indiana too, but Kentucky as well. So there's just a lot of connection out there with being in a team as well.
Yeah. And so you're and of course you're doing all of this, attending team activities, showing you probably do know, but how many ever homes it takes in order to be able to sell 100 plus homes. And you're doing all of that, with 5 kids and a family at home, and balancing that work-life balance as best you can. I'm sure that gets pretty crazy at times. So how do you deal with both? How do you keep everything straight?
Smartphones are amazing. And I don't know that I ever had used Google Calendar much before I got into real estate, but every day it gets more and more important. And literally I have to put like gym on the calendar just to make when I look at it the day before. Most of the time I'm pretty set where I know, like, I go to that first in the morning, but if it gets off schedule, then it gets pushed somewhere else during the day. So the kids' games, the kids' schedules, the kids' doctor's appointments, everything. And I have a great support system, like with my in-laws and my parents and my husband. So, we're in this together. Believe me, he's not supporting me. This is our family, and we have to do it together. But I think a lot of moms do, they feel guilty, especially if they don't work, the type of job that their husband might do. And they think that they have to take care of certain things, or like the roles are just assigned, like I have to do the grocery shopping, or I have to do the cooking, or I have to buy the kids clothes, and I think just extinguishing those rules is really good to help moms be mompreneurs. I think that's what you use the word. So he helps a lot and can cook a lot. So we just have automated everything, literally. have a list at the grocery store that, I mean, we buy the same things all the time, essentially. And it's just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
So
And
when you started that, that's so good. Like, yo, how do you like, so me and Jen just started that and we use the notes app. And that way it's like, hey, just we have a shared note. Anytime somebody needs something, throw it on there. And I never thought about that, but like putting that system in place, if you will, makes all of our lives a lot easier. And that's kind of what I'm hearing you say is, A, it's all hands on deck, meaning that, you know, everybody in the family contributes, not just, and then removing the stereotypical, this is your role because you're the husband or you're the wife or whatever, and then just everybody working together and then building a system behind that also. So
yeah, like for instance, this morning, like I've been doing meal prepping for the last 2 months just to finally get myself, and I know you're doing it too, Matt, get myself aligned and take better care of myself, because we're busy individuals and we have to do that. Like if we literally feed ourselves the right foods, we're obviously going to make better decisions and feel better and just be healthier for everybody else in our lives. But I typically I'll try to get everything ready the night before. Sometimes I don't, and I do it in the morning. I like set aside 30 minutes. And my husband did it for me this morning. He measured all my food and got everything together because I was running behind. And I said, oh yeah, it probably took you twice as long because I have all the numbers memorized, and he had to keep going back to the sheet. And but I like use the scale and weigh all my stuff every day. So he was doing that.
Using the scale a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, makes a big difference.
Once you memorize your stuff, it makes it way easier. But on that note, like with the food, while we're talking about it, so I've gone, if I look at the pictures of myself before real estate to now, which I did have a baby in between there, but still, like, even if I look at the pictures of after Savvy, my daughter, to now, like, I'm not happy with the pictures. I just feel like the busyness did get to me, and I did find myself grab and go. And, you know, after a really stressful day, you'll have wine or margaritas or this or that, like, too often. And so I'm trying to reclaim that health. And I think it's really important. Obviously I succeeded at that level, but I could be way more happy and just live a more fulfilled life, taking better care of myself.
I think you're strong as I did, you know, same thing. It was like, so I was traveling a lot between offices. So it was like, all right, I'm going to stop in Wendy's and grab lunch, or I'm going to stop. And then I'm not making the best healthy decisions because I didn't plan ahead. Right. And it kind of goes into what the subject of this is it's a lot of planning, right? To be successful when you have a big business, multiple businesses and multiple kids and things like that, planning really goes into that. And when you're planning, when you're planning, like, what goes on your calendar first? Is it family stuff? Is it business stuff? Or how do you kind of go about planning your calendar?
Pretty much families first, like the family stuff's first. So like I put out any vacations that we're going to take, of course. And then like as soon as I get the kids' ball schedules, or like my oldest daughter, 2 daughters are playing tennis right now. So I put all of those in the calendar. Now, mind you, I will say, I don't go to everything that they have. I don't go to every away game. I will say, if it's a certain distance, I'm like, I need to be home with the other kids. Like, we can't be out that late. Or my oldest daughter does archery, and I just don't really love it. And my father-in-law goes with her to all those, and I think she does better when there's not as many people watching her. So I don't go to that as much. I do every now and then. But anyway, get all of that on there. And then so when I get the real estate, a lot of real estate is very short term. Like, it's like, people say, sorry for the short notice, and they want to see a house today, and that's kind of how you have to do it, because the house won't be there tomorrow. So for instance, this morning, I probably already gotten 4 calls or texts, and it's not even 10:30 a.m. yet, about seeing houses and people I was not talking to yesterday. So I'm like, where can I fit that in? You know, and the first thing I say is, well, I can't do this time because that's what my daughter's tennis match. So we can either do it before or after, and or tomorrow. You know, I mean, I try to get them in as soon as possible.
But you're not afraid to dictate to the client, hey, here's my priority. I want you to get taken care of, but I have this dedicated time to my kids, in this case, a tennis match. So we have to either see it before or after that. And I think
Right.
a lot of people they get that phone call and they have to drop everything in order to be able to do it. Well, look at like a doctor. If you had to have some sort of exploratory non-emergency surgery, can you just call a doctor and get in? That same
Right.
thing. You can. And I know while real estate's a different beast, not comparing them, because especially in today's market when houses still are coming off the market so fast, we have a little bit more time than we used to. But a lot of times, as long as you're within the first 24 hours, you have a good opportunity at. But controlling your schedule, I think, is huge. And then
Mhm.
the next thing is, because I know you're really good at this also, is stress. How do you deal with the stress of real estate? Because it can be, when you're running your own business and running a real estate business at that, it can be really stressful.
Right. Okay. Let's see. I was going to go back to the first question you asked was about how do you tell people, or you make
Oh
up,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
please.
I was not always okay with that. I will admit, especially in my first couple years, and I think that's kind of something you have to, and I think Micah's probably I see Micah has had this conversation with their kids, like when she said, listen, mama's got to grind, and they knew and they saw, and now they see where I step back some, because I'm not, I missed some things, but everybody lived, everybody survived. We got through it. We had other family members there that were able to take them here or pick them up from there. But I was afraid to say that at the time. And I'm not telling you that as a newer agent that you have to do that, because people will respect you when you tell them, this is, and if they don't, you don't want to work with them. So I say the first thing you need to do is always try to set up a buyer consultation or seller consultation where you get to know one another and you set that expectation of, listen, my family comes first. I am first and foremost a mom and a wife. And if I didn't say that to you, then I would be, like, I don't know, I wouldn't be myself. Like, you have to tell them that, and they should respect that, because they should also feel the same way about their family. Like, they shouldn't want to just drop their family, their wife or spouse or kids, and just go do leave, go to work. Yeah, no matter what it is, even if they just work at McDonald's, like, they shouldn't love McDonald's more than their kids. So I just say, I want to give you the permission to say that and get more comfortable with it. It's not a stigma. And if those people don't respect you, then, they're not worth working with. And that's the lovely part about getting to this point too, is that I don't pick and choose clients by any means. I don't say, well, I only work with 250 and above buyers, 250K. I still sell houses under 100,000, even though there aren't as many as the prices have gone up. But but I will say that, like, if people don't respect the boundaries of the time, and I do, tell them, feel free to text me anytime or call me anytime. My phone's on silent, so I won't wake up if you text me at midnight about a question you have. But I will probably not get back to you until after 9 a.m. And I don't, I mean, it's not an emergency if they had called me at 6 a.m., even though I'm awake and I'm at the gym. It's not an emergency. So
You're spot on. And I think it's, two things. You're right. What is it? I tell clients all the time, like, hey, if you need me at 10 p.m. or in your case, 6 a.m., then actually should be calling 911, because banks aren't open, title companies aren't open, insurance agencies aren't open. There's very little that I can do. So if it's truly an emergency, you're calling the wrong number. So I always just make a little joke out of it. But the other thing I was going to say is that, you're so spot on when it comes to your mindset, because it's not only the point that you've reached, but it's also the mindset of abundance and not scarcity. So if you have a scarcity mindset, you feel like I have to grab onto every single person that is maybe looking to buy or sell. And a lot of times you can put yourself in a bad situation mentally, like in terms of what you allow people to do to you, because maybe you just aren't in alignment. You weren't supposed to be working with the person, but you're so afraid you would lose out on that next deal that you work with every single person that comes across you, versus coming from a place of abundance and having those consults so that you're working with people that are like-minded and motivated and are going to match your energy throughout the process. And not saying that, that everything's all peachy and roses, but it is a big difference when you have that consult and you find out, here's exactly what they're looking for. Here's their timeline. Here's their motivation. And then you get to prioritize accordingly, because when you're working with a bunch of buyers or sellers even, you kind of have to prioritize when that house comes on the market on who needs to see that. And the way you're going to prioritize it is based on their motivation, their wants, their needs, and things like that.
That's great. Yeah, I love that because they don't realize that sometimes they do. Some do, some don't realize that they're not the only ones you're working with. And they think that whenever they call you, you should drop everything and go. But the great ones are the ones that do understand that. And I will say, last year, one in particular that I can think of, there were people I worked with that I don't wish to work with ever again. Like a listing that I had for sure. Like it was just one that I got through it. We got it sold, but it was really hard. And that person probably, I'm not going to do the touches that our team does on them to stay in touch over the years. And if they were to reach out to me and ask me to list a house for them, I'd probably say no. Like it was just that hard of it. It was stressful. It was not good for my mental health. When people don't want to listen to you and you're the expert, then it's just, it gets to a really tough spot. But at that point we were already under contract. So I saw it through to the close, but.
Yeah. And, that's one thing that kind of leads to this perfect segue. I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but to our next question, which is, for somebody who's so strong like you, what do you do to stay strong in those tough moments, those moments when maybe the mom life or the job life has kind of beat you down a little bit, if you will? What's your keys?
Yeah. Well, I skipped over your mental health question, so I'll have to go back and cover kind of all that at the same time. So I do see a therapist once a month. And a lot of that is just talking through, what's going on in my life. And, it's the same person. So we talk about like how things have changed since the last time we talked. And a lot of things we talk about are my goals, or a lot of times personal things that I'm working on, like the eating and the working out consistently. And it's nice to, in past years, I would put that all on Facebook and share all of that. But in a way, like right now, that's kind of more personal to me. I don't really want to put it out on my story every day. And I'm making a lot of slow progress. So like, I don't really want to blast it because it's not going like I dropped 15 pounds my first week, like I've done in the past, because I'm doing things differently this time. But how I stay strong in the tough time.
Real quick, hold that thought.
Okay.
Kudos to you for going. I know sometimes that there's this stigmatism around people getting help for mental health. And, even myself, I've struggled with that at times, like, oh, well, that means I'm weak if I go there. Right. But if you're not, like, you're working on yourself to make yourself better. So I just wanted to stop and say, kudos to you. Good job. I think more people should do that.
Thank you. And I try to bring it up more too. Like I was at the hairstylist the other day, like in the room where you're getting your hair washed. And I was talking to two different hairstylists, and I was like, yeah, I was telling my therapist the other day, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like saying it out loud, like helps more normalize it a little bit more. Yeah. Because actually when it was suggested to me to do so, I felt the same way. I was like, I don't need a therapist, but it's really improved me, and just, it gives me permission to talk about like literally anything that I want to there. But for the moments of being strong, so I am a people pleaser, and that's one thing that was really hard for me to get used to, is just all of that. There is a lot,
I'm a people pleaser. I get it.
Right. Real estate is a lot of what we put on social media because we don't want to complain. We don't want to put the ugly, crazy stuff on there. But it looks all glamorous, and all they see is the happy times, closings, and the success. But there's a lot of struggle in there. And normally when something, like if I don't get a listing, or if a buyer ends up, the worst part that I struggled with at the beginning was when I would be working with a buyer for a long amount of time, and then all of a sudden they'd buy a house with another realtor. It just broke my heart. Yeah. And now, of course, I've gotten better about the teaching the client that it is an exclusive relationship and I'm the only one they should call. I've gotten better about that, but also when something like that happens now, and very rarely does it with the buyer situation, but like if I don't get a listing, I just have to say, it wasn't meant to be. Like it just, something about that situation, it wasn't meant for me to work with them, and it's okay. And I just shake it off. But mentally, like reading anything that's personal development. I know, Matt, you're a big reader. Being surrounded by positive people, that's a big, huge one. So, and I know we at Keller Williams here and at Keller Williams Elite, we have a great community, and the Harris Jarboe group, of course, has been great. But yeah, being around people that think big and are only, we don't always talk positive all the time. You have to get those complaints out. Like, we'll come in, oh my gosh, can you believe what so and so did to me? Like, we do that. We have to let it out. But then, like, there's always somebody there that when you're having a bad day, just picks you up and gets you onto the next deal, and just makes you see the sunshine in the rain, which Monday. Oh, hey, I think the sun might popped out.
Hey, it's a little gray out there, but it's better than
it's not pouring down rain, that's for sure. But yeah, that really helps. So mental health, just being around the right people, being in the right rooms with people, that's huge. I know we talked about UniFirst earlier. Nothing against UniFirst at all, but it's just like there's not a lot of people there that love what they're doing, and there's obviously going to be jobs that that people they're not desirable, they're not sexy, which there's a lot of things about our job, like we said, people don't know about the ugly side of real estate, or the not so fun things to do.
The inspection reports.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that part's no fun at all, but we get through it, and then it's necessary, and that's part of our I'm trying to think of the word
part of the pros and cons too.
Right. Yeah, it can't all be
not all sunshine and rainbows, that's for sure.
And that's why we do what we do, because we're trying to make sure that our clients get into the right house, and we have to do the inspections. It's got to be part of it.
What and I'm sure that at some point you mentioned, I'm reading your notes here, let go of anyone and everything that does not serve you in a positive way. That's tough to let people go sometimes, talking people.
Right.
So we were, grew up around a certain person that maybe is not in alignment with where we're going in life, in terms of, and I'm talking just strictly on like the outlook of positivity and trying to be supportive and stuff like that. And I've had some friends that I'm still friends with them. We're just not nearly as close. Like, I had to put some distance between us, because I was working on myself, and I needed to be around certain type of people in order to achieve what I was going to achieve. So did you have any experiences like that, where maybe somebody wasn't in alignment with where you were going, and how tough is that? And then how'd you kind of get through it, and was it worthwhile?
I'm trying to think of specific people. And I really can't, like, mostly it was all just being around the right people. But I do know that, like, one of the first questions we ask when we interview new agents to be on our team is, do you have a support system at home? And because there's a lot of people who, they really, really want to do this, but their spouse is very doubtful, or their parents, maybe it's a younger person who still lives at home, and their parents are very doubtful. If you don't have that support, and those are the people that you go home to every night, it's probably not going to work out. You're not going to see the success that you should. So it's tough, but that's the thing. Like, my husband was a little doubtful, but I think he knew that I was going to be successful. He just was scared of that gray area where I had to grow, and not, having we had 4 kids when I started, to not having that second income. It was scary, but it was worth it.
Anytime you're running your own business and you're an entrepreneur, you're betting on yourself to be successful, because you don't have that paycheck, right? It doesn't matter how you show up every day matters. And a lot of time when you're in a salary, if you're having a bad day, you can still show up and get paid, and just maybe not be at your optimal production level. But in this job, if you don't show up every day, that's a day you're not getting paid. So I think that it's natural that spouses have a little bit of, like you said, skepticism or just
Mhm.
questioning and are not sure. It's once you see that success, that mindset doesn't change, and then you are constantly having that person of, hey, it's just a matter of time before you fail. I think that's where it becomes really hard versus having that cheerleader in your corner that says, hey, you got this, go out and crush it today. You're gonna go list a house, you're gonna go get this buyer under contract. And it really does change your focus, your mentality, and the way that you go about conducting your day when you have those people cheering you on.
Yeah. Well, so one of the people that I can think of that I've somewhat done this with as a family member. I can't obviously eliminate them, but there's just a lot less communication, a lot less like even
Limit
when
your
they
time and
text me,
exposure. Yeah.
yeah, even when they text me, I just kind of like ignore it most of the time unless it's an emergency, then I respond. Like it's just the way it is because I just can't get into those conversations because they're always like that. And just
And
hasn't.
let's talk about the other side of that. So let's talk about people who have been a huge influence on you, not necessarily family related, just
Mhm.
in general. Who or what has been the biggest influence on you in terms of business?
Well, I gotta say Kelly because she was one of the first people I talked to when I started to think about getting into real estate, and she said, based off of what I know about you and your Facebook, I can see that you're very you very socially active and you like to promote things and just very active. She's like, I know you have the motivation to do this, and if you do what we tell you to and you listen to us and go through all the trainings, you're definitely going to succeed. And she's been there too for the slower times, or when COVID first hit. I've shared this story before, but like I was just, I don't know. It was that first quarter to another one where it was kind of slow, and I just was stuck in the house with the
I never talked
kids.
to you about that. Yeah.
Nobody knew what was going on, and I just that's when we first started calling in our numbers, where we say, okay, this is what my goal is, this is what I've closed this year, this is how many pendings I have. And I would just get on there and just zero, zero. I mean, and it was just really 1 or 2 days like that. And her and Kelly or Kelsey called me and they were like, listen, you've got to pick yourself up. And they're like, you're not doing anything for yourself acting like that. And you're a team, you're a senior member on this team. And I just needed somebody to slap me. And that was them like virtually slapping me instead of coming to my house and pulling me
Kick
up.
it right back in gear.
Right. And that was 2020, and that was a great year. And then it just set me on that trip for the 100+ units for 2021.
That's awesome. And that's the power of a tribe, right? Like forget about their team. It's having people like that, whether it's your team, your family, or somebody they can have those tough conversations and be like, hey, you're not being yourself. Like,
Right.
what's
You're
going
not
on? Let's talk. Okay, now let's get back on that horse and start riding again.
you're
So
not able, yeah, you're not living up to your potential, which is
yeah,
great. I honestly wish they would have done that for me, like health wise, like seen it and been like, girl, what are you doing? But that's a little harder to do when you say, hey, your ass is getting a little too fat, like that's a little harder for people to say to you, but I'm giving them permission if they watch this to do that later. um but they Kelly and Kelsey both have just been like embraced me from the beginning, and we are not only just partners but friends too, and we go on trips together. And just like they saw a picture of me on Facebook and messaged me and said, oh my gosh, I can see from your face that that you're changing. So, and that was very awesome of them just to say that one thing. I mean, they didn't have to. They're obvious. Like, I don't think there's been a lot of change on the scale, just to be straight up, but for them to have said that they noticed that was great.
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Just being that cheerleader. And sometimes, as we've been talking about business, but I'm sure you have those cheerleaders in the parental and family life as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, kind of somebody there is probably doing the same thing.
Yeah, my parents have always been very supportive. Now they were a little scared too at first because they know that, yeah, you don't have that blanket, that to fall back on of the weekly paycheck, but they've seen my growth and are very proud and supportive of me. And of course, my husband is like my number one cheerleader, I think.
He really is.
And kid.
He
Yeah.
is awesome. I love him. So what do you think? So this job isn't cut out for everybody. What makes you different?
Well, I mean, of course, we're all different. And that's the thing is like, you can't ever try to be just like somebody else. You can't see someone on social media and dress like them and do your hair like them. And you're never going to be them. So I say, I don't try to fit any sort of mold. Like you can probably say, Matt, from every time you see me, I look different. Probably. I do like to change up my hair, my glasses, what I'm wearing. You could see me from, in a dress and a blazer one day to workout clothes in here. And, I do play that off of like who I'm going to be seeing that day for the most part. Like if I know that I'm going to be showing a house, now it doesn't necessarily matter what house it is. Like it could be a $500,000 house or $100,000 house. But if it's someone I never met before, I'll probably try to like present myself a little bit better, but not someone who I'm not. I'm not going to wear a pantsuit with a blazer. I like blazers, but I'll wear them with jeans, or a cute dress. I don't want to.
You're you always, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm not going to pretend like I'm somebody else. So there have been occasions where I've like been in workout clothes and someone says, "Hey, can we go see this house today?" And the only time I can squeeze them in is maybe an hour from then. And I just show up and I say, "Hey, this is what I'm wearing because I was at the gym, but I wanted to get you in." And they respect that. Yeah, they're fine with it. So that's the thing is like you see these shows, like we were talking earlier about Selling Sunset and the way those girls dress and they wear their high heels.
I just watched it for the first time this weekend.
Me too. Me too.
Let me tell you right now.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have a side conversation off
Yeah,
camera about that.
For sure. But yeah, like that's not how real estate necessarily is. And it's not to say that you can't, but I don't recommend anybody dress like that or wear high heels that wouldn't do so on a regular basis anyway. And
if that's who you are, own it.
Yeah.
Right. But don't think you have to be that person to be successful in this career.
Right. I took a note from Kelsey and like I keep rain boots in my trunk at all times because like on a day like today, I don't necessarily need them, but if I'm going to go show any type of house with land or a yard period, I mean, there's probably going to be something I need to walk through that I don't want my sandals or my white tennis shoes in. And then like, it's hard. We go up and down a lot of stairs. We don't want to do that in high heels. So yeah.
And so the one other thing I want to talk about, we kind of talked about it before, but as you were talking through that, I was just thinking about being uniquely you. And that is you take time for yourself. So it's not just all work. It's not just all family. And I think a lot of times we get caught in, if I'm not taking care of the family or I'm not taking care of work, then we feel guilty, right? And we don't take time for ourselves. So, whether it be working out, for me, it's golf, right? That's my time. That's when I'm going to go, work on my game and try to de-stress a little bit. So how important is it balancing the you time in with the work and family time?
Oh gosh, it's so important. Like I don't have anything scheduled today, but a lot of times on Mondays I'll do something like call it self-care Mondays, because Mondays are kind of crazy. They always have been. Like think about what jobs when you had to clock into a job, like Mondays were, oh God, it's Monday. I got to go back, which we love coming back to work because we're back around our people. We got tired of our family over the weekend and we're like, okay, no, I'm joking. But, I usually have like a massage or a facial or nails or something going on a Monday. I love that. But working out is number one. I'm excited about waking up at 5 a.m. and going to work out because it's like, yeah, like this is me time. It's only me. Nobody's going to be bugging me. And it's early enough that I don't feel obligated to respond to any messages if I get them. So that, it's so important. You've got to take care of yourself and do not feel guilty about it. I've gone on a lot of work trips. I mean, we call them work trips because we do some work in it, and we're involved with Keller Williams while we're there. But it's great to just have that time we're pouring in our businesses for one, but we do get some time away and some fun personal time. And I've done like girl trips this last year, and I'm going to do another one this year. And I think a lot of moms really struggle with that. Like, hey, make a trade with your husband and give him a hunting trip or a man golf trip or something. You know, I mean,
We didn't do that. Yeah. She
yeah,
got
like,
earlier this year, and I'm going to Paynes Valley next month to go play golf.
right.
So.
There's nothing wrong with that. And the kids will understand. Like, I think sometimes mine are jealous, but they don't mind. When they look, I think when they grow up, they're going to look back and be like, no, I want to be like my mom and go on trips like that. And, as long as you can afford to do so, you deserve it. I mean, everybody deserves it. Don't get me wrong, but you obviously have to take care of your family and
make good financial decisions.
Right. Make good financial decisions.
Yeah, we're gonna put a little asterisk on the show. We're not financial advisors. So.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to a mom who wants to be a business owner, or who maybe is a business owner and kind of wants to take it to the next level, or maybe even just struggling with the balance?
Okay, so definitely with the balance, just work with your calendar and make room for as many things. Well, I don't say as many things as possible, but we talked about, or I think I put this down, the right things. Yeah. Like, you cannot if things don't serve you, you've got to get rid of them. Like, if you're part of, say you're part of a, you're part of a, like, I was trying to lead a book club that I wasn't doing a very good job at. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to make this a general coffee hour. If people want to come, they come. But then it just helped me like relieve that stress of, and if Ronald's listening, then he knows, like, he was part of my book club, but it's just like not the right time for me to lead that. And I was like, hey, we're just going to do coffee, and I don't have to be there. And I don't feel like a loser for not having everything ready. But, like, I was trying to do too much. And sometimes I have to remind myself, like, yes, you've done a lot of things at one time successfully, but that doesn't mean that every time somebody asks you to do something, or every great idea that comes along, you have to say, let's implement that right now.
I mean, sometimes less is more. And if you're following, the 80-20 principle, where there's 20% of your activities are going to lead to 80% of the outcome, then by actually doing less is more, as long as you're focused on your one thing. For us as real estate agents, business building activities, right? Going out and finding where we're going to get the next piece of business. Everything else kind of naturally falls in place. It's when we get out of alignment and we start focusing on the 80%, the less important activities, that life becomes chaotic, the business becomes chaotic, and things like that. So I love that you said that. Sometimes it is just paring it down and saying, hey, is this really in alignment with where I want to be as my family, as a business owner, so on and so forth, through however you categorize yourself. And I think that goes to what I was talking about last week, is you got to have a mission, right? And a mission and a vision. And even if it's, I suggest it's formal for most people, like there's an actual something that you go to, but you got to know who you are so that you're serving that going forward. And you're making sure that you stay in that 20%. And that is that you're doing the things that you need to do. So I think you excel at that. Probably far more than a majority of people. And I bet that was a kind of learned process. I was just reading your notes here where you were talking about tightening up your calendar more and starting to delegate. And I think that's, what it's all about, is knowing when you've reached your max and then what you need to do to get back down to a, if you will, working capacity, meaning something.
Yeah. It's tough to do. Like, there's still things that I'll talk about, or I'll mention to Amber on our team, and she'll say, why aren't you having so-and-so do that? Or can't so-and-so do that? Can't your kid do that? Or what, I'm like, oh, you're right. So then I'll make that adjustment. And, luckily she's become a master of doing that. So she can see where I've got those holes. But you said, so if someone's thinking of
just
becoming
advice.
a business owner, I think for sure, like, plan and set it in your sights that you are going to do it. Like, say, okay, well, I'm going to do this by this date, and set the plan up like it is going to happen. And then take notes from moms who have done it before. ask them to share what didn't work and what they've always gone back to. So like, of course I talked to Kelly before I got into real estate, but I think back and like, I don't really remember talking to a whole lot of moms, but through the process I did, I would see the way certain people did it. And I see honestly the way people do it incorrectly, or, they're doing it and they might be perfectly happy, but their businesses have just stayed the same or not, or gone less.
Gone the other
It's
way.
like, maybe that's what, that's perfectly fine with them. But I'm like, okay, the way I see what you're doing is not working that would never work for me.
It's a win or a lesson, right? And sometimes it's other people by modeling or following their behavior, we can figure out. And if it's not a win, then that's a lesson for us. Like, okay, I see them doing this. It's not working. I'm not going to go that route.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. What about for somebody who's really struggling with the parent work life in terms of whether it be just scheduling or it's, maybe they got it built up in their own head that it's just too much and no one person can do it all.
Right. I mean, and like I said, I don't do all of this by myself. So the work. So first of all, I think they need to examine their work life where they are right now and see if like maybe they're in a different industry, maybe they are a realtor. Are they happy with it? First of all, like does it really fill their bucket and make them happy? And if so, and they just need to figure out how, if the only negative is that they just don't have enough balance in their life, then they need to go into like, I say track your week and like see how much true time you spent at work or with work activities. And then also see how much time you have, like where you're actually spending quality time with your family and your kids. And then see where you can kind of intertwine those. Because there's a lot of times that I'll be honest, like I am sitting on my bed with my laptop in my lap and like one of the kids is just laying on me, cuddling, and it's like, hey, granted, I only have two that cuddle with me anymore. The other three are too big. But that's sometimes quality time for us. I mean, they know I'm working, but like the touch, like that's a love language and we're doing it. I'm not like, get off me. I need both my hands. Like I can sit there and type with one hand and we can, spend that time and we're watching like a cartoon movie or something at the same time. So we do a lot of that. And there's
random thought you just made me think. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, that's
do you
fine.
know each of your kids' love language?
I don't. I need to have them take that. But of course, I don't know if their ages would really give true answers right now. But I think they all really, really just enjoy doing things together. Like if we go, they've all said, except for the baby, of course, because she was too young. But they've all said that their favorite trip that we've ever done together was when we drove to Arizona, and we just did different random things along the way. Like it was totally unplanned. We just found a hotel each way, and it was in 2020 where it was way easier to find vacant hotels, at random places. But it was, that was really fun and just unexpected. So when we get a chance to do things like that, like during spring break, we went to get Nashville and just went shopping and then went ziplining. Like that was just a really fun day. So I think activities and making memories. And I think for there can't go wrong with that. Yeah.
All about experiences. Yeah.
That's why I've never been one to like throw a huge party for my kids. I mean, even though we have the money to do so, that's just not, that didn't mean a lot to me as far as like my one's getting ready to turn 15 and she just wants to she wants to have friends over and I'm like, okay, you do that, but it's going to be like low key, not crazy. I'm not buying everything you want and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I could keep on talking about this for hours with you, just business or life in general, but we have a couple minutes left. So what do you think every mom entrepreneur should take away from this episode? What are some key things for maybe for you, or that you would just, if you had to go back and do it differently or what have you?
I think I would have definitely gotten around positive people who were happy in what they were doing way sooner. And I was, I will go back and say this. I don't think anybody from this group of people will watch this, but maybe they will. But when I was getting out of UniFirst and thinking about real estate, I was searching for something else. Like I had this need, but I didn't know what I needed. I just knew I didn't want to be where I was. So I actually started working out with Edge Body Boot Camp and growing their business, and became really involved with those people that own. I'll even name drop Dustin Edge, who owns Owensboro Athletic Center, and like they were very influential on me. Like it was just great to be like, that's your business. Like you were passionate about this, and you opened this gym to help further, have other people another place to come for a cheap monthly rate to work out and promote physical fitness. And I really liked that, but I found out, that just wasn't the place for me. So, surrounding yourself with positive people and just finding your tribe. Obviously, what you see on Facebook is not always exactly that, because I went to the wrong place based on some social media too. And when I got there, I was like, this is nothing like social media made it seem.
You see the best of everybody's life, including every business on social media. You don't always see the truth.
Right. So it's all about just finding your people and finding your passion, and it'll all work out. I say all the time, I kind of wish that I got into real estate earlier in life, but then I wouldn't have been the same person, and it would have just been a totally different journey. So I can't say that I'd be where I am now if I had done that.
Embrace the struggles, because you're learning something along the way, and you never know. There's I think it's Chinese proverb, but it's about a farmer, and the farmer loses a horse, and the whole tribe comes to, or city, I guess I should say, comes and says, oh, well, that's horrible. And he says, well, maybe. And then the next day, 7 wild horses show up at his farm, and the city comes there and was like, well, this is absolutely amazing. And he's like, well, maybe. And then his son's riding one of the horses and trying to break it, and breaks his leg. And the city comes and was like, oh, this is horrible. We can't believe this happened. He said, well, maybe. And then they're going to war. So there's a draft coming along, and the army, I guess you could say, comes by his house and skips right past him because his son's got a broken leg. And then he's like, and the city comes there and is like, oh, it's awesome, your son's not going to war. And he says, well, maybe. And the point of the story is, you don't really know if something's good or bad, because you don't know what that outcome is going, how that's going to change the trajectory or path, or what's going to happen next. So if you kind of adopt that philosophy, I just heard somebody say this on TikTok recently, and it was like, really, like, okay, like if you're getting down on yourself, or you're super excited about something, well, hold on, let's see how it plays out. But if you can maintain that even keel, just know that everything happens for a reason. And you're not getting into real estate, until 4 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever it was, then that happened for a reason too. And now look at the blessings behind that. And then, where do we go forward from here?
Yeah. Like I don't think I would have appreciated it as much if I hadn't gone through the struggle. And there were times when my husband and I were like, we both work so hard. We said that so hard, and we are living paycheck to paycheck. Like, what the hell? And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are just stuck in that mundaneness, because I think this is all there is. But there's always more. And maybe the answer is not real estate, but there's something out there for you.
There's something out there for everybody. You just have to find it, without a doubt. So. All right. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming in. I know you everybody who listens is definitely going to take some of this knowledge and be able to better their businesses, their family life, or just themselves. So thank you so much for coming on, and enjoy the chats as always.